Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry about the delay there. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties. I couldn't find the menu to where it said go live. I don't know why it was hidden on me. Anyway, today, first of all, sorry that I haven't been recording any new content. For those of you that follow me on Instagram or on the channel, I posted something. My wife came down with COVID, and then I got COVID, surprisingly. Trying to get rid of the feedback here. Anyway, if someone out there could just give me a thumbs up if the stream is okay, if the audio is okay, that would be good to know. I can check my levels and everything, but it's good to know. I haven't done this in a little while, so want to know, make sure everything's coming in okay. But had COVID. For those of you who haven't had COVID, you're in the very few. But it sucked. I didn't think it would suck. I've been vaccinated, 2 times plus the boost. Knocked me out for a week, knocked my wife out for a week, and came right at the end of a cycling trip that I went on. So I think my body was kind of wiped out. because I was cycling and drinking, not at the same time, but had a buddy in town, so we had to tipped a few back. Anyway, I'm feeling a lot better now. Ready to get back to recording regular content. For those of you that are members of my monthly membership program that have the exclusive live streams once a week, I do apologize. I will get back to those. I just wanted to start with something big. Not big, but start with, open to everybody because it's been a while. A couple other new things. New tattoo. I got Tank Man on my hand here. For those of you that don't know who Tank Man is, he's from, Tank Man's from that iconic picture at Tiananmen Square. Never forget Tank Man. And what else is going on? I am like 99% ready to launch my photography workshop in Vietnam. The dates are going to be early March. It's going to be 7 days. It's going to cost around, I have more details, but it's going to cost around $3,000. It's going to be all-inclusive. It's going to be the north of Vietnam. It's not including your flights, but that includes everything else once you get here as far as 3 meals a day, lodging, transportation, my services, guide, my team supporting you, all that stuff, and hotels as well. So we're going to have a nice hotel here in Hanoi for a couple nights. We're going to do street photography, and then we're also going to go up to the northern mountains of Sapa and do travel/street and do a little travel assignment. It's going to be like no other travel or no other workshop you've ever done before. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to learn, and you're going to have me at your disposal, someone who's been working and shooting in Vietnam for about 2 decades now. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're limited to 10 people, most likely keep it to around 8 to 10, intimate settings, so we're all going to get to know each other, open to all levels, all interests, but the focus will be just improving yourself as a photographer with like more of a focus on street photography and travel photography. So today is mailbag. You guys can ask me questions. Thank you, Sue. You guys can ask me questions as we go. I do have a couple chambered questions that I got from Instagram that I'm going to answer. I'll start with those. But if you guys have questions along the way, just ask me in the comments section. I'm just going to get right into it. The first question comes from Data Lens, and the question is, what's the most important step advice a semi-pro can do to turn pro? And then it says mentorship question mark. The most important advice I would say to turn pro is you need to make it. There's a couple things to unpack here, but I would say the most important advice out there for anyone who wants to turn pro is to not give up early on. That's going to be the biggest reason why most people fail, is because after about a year, they're not going to be a success story like they thought, or maybe not even after 2 years. The jobs aren't going to be consistent, and people don't have the stomach for those kind of swings in income. And I get that, especially if you have a family. You've got a lot of bills. Depending on what age you are in your life, there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. So that's what I would say. If you want to do it, you need to be in a position that you're financially free to suffer for a couple of years. It is going to suck. You're not going to necessarily shoot everything that you want to shoot ever in your career, never mind the first couple of years. So I think to have a realistic understanding of what you can expect for jobs, consistency of jobs, types of jobs in your market, what you can make, that's the most important thing. And then just basically, look at who's doing the work that you want to do in your area and beat them. Like, don't just get close to being as good as them. You have to beat them. You have to be better than them in every aspect of your work, not just the final product. You have to be better at marketing. You have to be better structured in your business. You have to have a better team of retouchers, or if you do it yourself, you have to be better at retouching. You have to be diverse. I mean, it's more than one piece of advice. It's a lot of advice. But if you want to turn pro, you have to be diverse. You have to be committed. And you have to understand it's going to take time. It's just going to take time. But, even now, to this day, I'm 44 years old. I still have big months and bad months. It just happens. But I've structured it out. Hopefully, there's luckily for me, by this time, there's more better months than down months. But you have to budget for that. You have to time for that. You have to plan for that. So great question. It is hard to be a pro photographer, like anything else. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of hard work, and you're gonna have to do a lot of diverse types of photography to make it work. You have to take on jobs that you might have thought you're too good for. I have a lot of friends that live out in Vietnam, right? And it doesn't cost a lot of money to live out here, and they don't work a lot because they can get away with it, right? But if you live in a place like you live in Europe, you live in the US, you have a lot of expenses, car insurance, your own health insurance, all these things you want to save for your 401k, all that stuff. It's expensive to do that. It takes a lot of jobs, takes a lot of savings. It's not just like buying gear and going out to take photos if you want. So be realistic, put the hard work in, and build that foundation, and that will take you through that. But that'll take you through like the later years in your career as a photographer, but you still have to constantly grind too. I'm grinding. I'm always grinding. Next question comes from Eric. It says, do you know anyone who wants to buy a Leica M10D? I'm selling mine, laughing out loud. Why do people knock my M10D, man? They don't even make them anymore. So if you want to sell it, probably selling a collector's item. That's more of a funny question. But his other question was, do you think a pro photographer needs a full-frame camera, or is a Fuji XT enough for pro work? Yeah, man, I see photographers that get away with shooting weddings, get away with shooting a lot of things without what's considered a pro camera. I think that's fine. I would say if you're going to spend money early on in your career, if budget's an issue, which it is for most people, spend money on glass. I think you can get away with shooting and having enough glass. So I would say put your money there. I wouldn't say you necessarily need like a pro full frame camera. A lot of clients don't know the difference. They just don't. I mean, and the look's going to be a little bit nicer, but sure, I think you can get away for a long time without a full frame camera. I think you can't get away for a long time if you're shooting commercial photography or certain types of photography without a pro, not necessarily a pro setup of lens, but a nice quantity of lenses. Now, I always preach like, oh, I like to go out with just my 35 millimeter and that's it. Like, sure, as an assignment photographer, I did that. I shot an entire year with original Canon 5D and a 35 millimeter, and that's it. That took a lot of skills on my part. Pat myself on the back of the shoulder here, but no, it took a lot of discipline. Took a lot of time to learn, and also that was part of my style. But I'm saying, as a commercial photographer, I couldn't shoot hotels. I couldn't shoot my resort work. I couldn't shoot my lifestyle shoots with just a 35 millimeter. I'm like, I could, but I wouldn't recommend it. The 85 gets me out of a lot of situations where I have to photograph things that aren't that lovely, and I have to make them look good. And wow, does an 85 1.4 make things look good? And wow, does a 50 millimeter 1.4 make things look good that aren't that good? So, I would say invest in pro lenses, and then you can upgrade later. But need a camera that's gonna have. This is mainly for commercial photography. And yes, there are wedding photographers out there that can shoot with a fixed 35 and that's it and stuff like that. I just think for most people, it's not necessarily a great idea. I think for a lot of clients, they're going to want a diverse set of images, and you can easily get that from having a diverse set of lenses, and the same goes for commercial work as well. The clients are going to want stuff that isn't always like the way you want to see it. They might need a mega wide of a room that you don't want to take, so you might need something wider than a 35. They might want a tighter shot or detail shot of food, so you might need that macro lens. So I would say fine on the not having necessarily a pro full frame camera if you want to be a pro photographer, but have a pro set of lenses. And again, I don't mean you have to have like the top of line lenses, because I made that change. I've always been a top of line lens kind of person, and I like that with my Leica and such. But when it comes to my commercial work, I recently made a big change. I got a lot of crap for it because I wrote a whole I did a whole episode about the new Hasselblad X2D and how I didn't go for it, didn't buy it. I switched all my equipment, all my commercial work, we switched to Sony, and my assistant for years, who's also a photographer, very good photographer and cinematographer, he's always telling me like, oh, getting cheaper lenses, Tamron, Sigma, and I'm like, no, I always get the best of the best. So if I have Canon, I get the G lenses. If I had Canon, I get the L series lenses. If I had Sony, I always get the G Master lenses. And he kind of talked me into like trying Sigma out. Tried the Sigma 85 1.4 out for half the price. It's pretty awesome. Tried the Sony Zeiss 51 4 lens, which was like $1,000 instead of like $2,000 instead of the G Master lens, and it's pretty awesome. And again, switched to Sony, the A7R4 for our commercial work over Hasselblad. I'm not saying the Hasselblad isn't better, the file is better, but it's negligible. And when it comes to the price, and how I've been able to scale for my business, that's what's worked for me. So I switched to the Sony system. I switched to cheaper lenses so I could have more lenses, because we have, again, two teams shooting two things at the same time, and having two of every single medium format lens just wasn't financially viable. So, and I've been totally satisfied. I've been shooting for months now. I've had tons of jobs signed off for and paid for using that Sony system, using those Sigma lenses, and a lot of other benefits that come along with the Sony camera system as well, with that autofocus. So I've been very happy with that. So I've kind of changed my tune there on quality of lenses and what you need there. I like good lenses for sure. I like wide open lenses, and I still like prime lenses, but I don't necessarily think you need top-of-the-line Sony, top-of-the-line Sigma. I don't think it's great value for what you get. They're typically double the price and maybe only like 5 to 10% better. Hope that makes sense. But it was a great question, Eric. You guys, again, ask away in the comments section if you have questions. The whole idea of this is that when people are on here, they can ask questions and you can learn as you go. The next question here is someone just wrote, hire me? Sure. I get questions like that all the time. I know they're joking, but I do get questions all the time from interns and people that want to move to Vietnam. Like, I'm coming there for a month. Can you hire me? Can I work for you? Like, to be honest, like, first of all, if you're serious about working for another photographer, writing a message in an Instagram, again, I'm not saying this person's just joking, I know that, but I do get serious messages on Instagram where people like want to do serious work for me. And I would say, if you really want to work for another photographer, intern, or put in a little time, like a formal email, and maybe I'm old school that way, but a lot of photographers that you probably want to work for are probably more like me, a little more old school. I would say write a formal email, introduce what you can do for them. You know, don't just make it about you. Talk about what you want to learn, talk about what you can offer. And if you're just there for like a week or a month, just honestly, like, don't be mad at the photographer for not wanting to do that. No one wants to invest in someone for a week or a month. They want to invest in people that are going to be with them for a long time, you know, and so it's a two-way street. So, you know, if you do want to go work for another photographer, which I think is a great idea, send a formal email, you know, be two-way. Of course, you want to say what you want to learn, but tell them what you can offer as well, that kind of stuff. Next question. I got a lot of good questions here on Instagram. So Matt Daisy asked, if Leica cameras weren't an option, what cameras would inspire you to shoot? Now, first of all, I'm going to say, I don't think any cameras on their own inspire me to shoot. Like, I am very much into, you guys know that follow me, the Leica system. I love my Leica cameras. I love the aesthetic and the feel for that. But I don't say, like, I look at that camera and it makes me want to shoot. I'm inspired to shoot because I love photography, not because the camera. It helps. It definitely helps to have a camera that I love having in my hands. I love having around me, that I think is aesthetically pleasing to hold and to look at. That helps. But you know, cameras, people always like chase cameras and think that the next camera is the one that's going to inspire them to do the project. Like, that needs to come from here and here. You know, you need to be into photography. You need to be inspired and love photography and love storytelling to want to go tell those stories. No camera is going to make you better. That's not what's stopping you. No camera is going to motivate you beyond like a week. Honestly, it just isn't. New gear, you're going to get old. You're going to get bored with it. It's going to get old to you within like a week or so. So, yes, of course, I still love my big pieces that I purchased, and I love my M10D, but I'm not looking at that like, oh, that's going to make me want to go do the story. No, I want to do the story because I'm interested in the story. So that's just kind of like part of it. So it doesn't inspire me to shoot, but I would say a camera that's similar to the Leica as far as the aesthetic and feel and what I like in a camera when I carry it around me. I do like that Hasselblad I mentioned as far as commercial work. Aesthetically, it's beautiful, but again, it just wasn't financially, it just didn't make sense for a business like mine that expands and shoots video as well. I'd say the closest thing to the Leica system and feel in your hand is the Fuji system. I have used an X Pro many years ago. I did like the feel of it a little bit. I just don't like it as much as the Leica. I mean, you know, a lot of people argue all the time, and they mention that. A lot of my viewers that are into Leicas are also, or like comment on my channel, comment on my reviews, and especially on my Leica episodes, they're Fuji people. So I see there's a lot of parallels there. We're not so different, you know, like Fuji people. Where a lot of the Fuji people kind of romanticize, they either romanticize about the Leica or they hate the Leica they bought, and they just like want to write nasty things like, it's just as good, it has this amount of stuff, it's half the price, even less. Anyway, but I would say that's the closest thing to the Leica system is maybe the Fuji rangefinder system. Let's see. Oh, thanks. Someone wrote, man, we've been lucky. The wife got COVID three times and never knew I had it except from testing. Good. That's good. Yeah, I didn't think, I was like pretty stoked the first 2 days my wife had COVID. I'm not stoked, but I was like, shit, I don't have it. I feel pretty good. And I was, you know, obviously we're close to each other, so we worked together and lived together. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get it. I think I'm going to, and then it just wiped me out. So I'm like 2 days behind all of her symptoms. She's still kind of recovering because she has asthma. Let's see. The next question is a great one from Scion Film. The question is, what was your single most successful way to get clients when you first started out? Good question. Single most successful way. The single most successful way for me was to go out and shoot the work that I wanted to get hired to shoot, even though no one was hiring me to shoot it. I hope that makes sense. Now, when I started, I wanted to be a photojournalist. I wanted to do documentary photography. I still do that work. I still love that work. That was my passion. That is my passion. But now I have a lot of passions in photography. So what I did is I went out and shot stories. That's what I did. I moved to Vietnam. I know that's not a viable option for everybody, but I was in my late 20s. I didn't have a lot going on. I was bartending in San Francisco. I had trying to figure out what was going on in my life, and I was like, I'm going to move to Vietnam. I'm going to tell some stories. I'm going to do a workshop out there, and I did a workshop. Went out and told stories. I fell in love with Hanoi. Fell in love with Vietnam. Fell in love with Southeast Asia. Stayed for several months in Hanoi. That was the only place that I really settled. Then I found myself drawn back here. Came back about 6 months to a year later. Did a couple stories about Agent Orange, and I just plugged away at it. I wanted to get these kind of assignments to tell these kinds of stories, and so I built a portfolio that would allow me to get hired to do that. And then I shopped that portfolio around. Sorry, still got the lingering cough a little bit there. And so that's it. I mean, that's what I did. And I would say the same thing goes for wedding work. Again, I mean, you can't just show up at people's weddings, but work as a assistant on a shoot, work as a second shooter, a third shooter, whatever you can get access to, commercial work. You want to do that, go out. If you want to get good at studio photography, rent a studio. You want to do a certain kind of portraits or a certain style of portraits, go shoot it. It's not just going to magically happen. It doesn't just show up and knock on your door and say, here you go, here's the work. You have to go get it. Go get the work, build the work that you want to get hired to do. The tricky thing there is don't lie about your portfolio. I see a lot of people do that, though. They'll go and shoot at a hotel that they stayed at and then kind of position them as a client, or they'll shoot a can of Coke and call Coke a client. Don't do that. That's ethically wrong. But, if you want to do product stuff, go practice product photography. Learn your skills, learn your style, learn your lighting, learn your system. And just get that work, get that portfolio of work. If it's a diverse body of work you want to get hired to do, same thing, So again, portrait work, studio, environmental portrait, go out, shoot, make the time. That's what you should be doing right now. If you're not getting hired to shoot, go out and shoot that work. Work on your craft, build that portfolio, and just keep that going. Pardon me here, guys. Let's see. Someone asked me, can you talk more about your 135 millimeter lens, as there is so little information out there? Okay, this question is from Michael Vandeveld, 87. Michelle, sorry. Not Michael, Michelle. I would say, Michelle, my 135, I have a very old 135. I can pull it out right now for you. I like doing these things because I didn't even know this question was coming up. This is my 135 here. It's my Leica 135. What is it called? I'm not so bad with these things. It's the Tele Elmar 135. And it goes up to f4, so it's not a super low light beast, but for a 135, that's pretty small. I mean, look, fits in the palm of your hands. I don't use this lens a ton, but I do use this lens because I do wildlife stories. Now, I'm not a wildlife photographer in the traditional sense, where I've got a 600 millimeter lens and I'm out on safari, but I've actually been on safari with this because I was shooting other stuff and other story, and they asked me to take some extra photos for them, and I worked out a little deal for them. So, but I use this because some of the animals that I photographed, I can't get so close. One time there was a sloth up in a tree, and I just wanted to have an extra longer lens in my bag that's not going to take up a lot of weight, because the system that I work with when I shoot my Kindred Guardians project, my personal work, is very lightweight. I want it to be very simple, very minimalistic. And this just kind of covers me. So it's like an emergency lens. I probably use this 5% of the time, if not less. So, as most of my stories, again, involve me getting close to animals ethically and photographing people that get close to animals ethically. So there's stories that I'm allowing myself to get close to. I don't need those long lenses, so it's not great for wildlife photography in general, but it works for me for what I shoot. And I don't remember it being super expensive. I remember it being I don't even know. I could tell you it was $1,000. I could tell you it was $500. I actually have no idea. I think it was $800 maybe, I'm gonna guess. I don't remember, but anyway, it's the Leica. It's a very old lens from the 70s, I believe. Tele-Elmar lens. It's sharp. I like it. I've used it for a while. It comes in handy for emergencies, but it only works really for my little Kindred Guardians documentary kit because it's small, it's lightweight, and it's just there for when every once in a while I need a telephoto lens. More questions, guys. The next question is from Simon Westerlund, and the question is, structure portfolio by type of photos or story, pros and cons. Making a portfolio is hard. Yes, it is, Simon. I did a whole episode on my channel about your portfolio and how to structure it. Excuse me. I said I was recovered, but the mornings I still have this little morning lingering cough. So I would say this is a very important lesson for you photographers out there to understand and to master. It's to, I think I have grounds of coffee in here too, that's why. I got grounds of coffee in my throat, not great. Anyway, I think it's important to structure it based, if you're a photographer that wants to get hired for your work, then you need to structure it in a way that's digestible for editors or art buyers or marketing people that are going to hire you. So I structure mine. You can look on my website. I think it's a pretty good plan for the way I do things and for the way I want to get hired, which is a mix of like selling my product, selling my educational world, so my online store, my presets, my one-on-one classes and things like that. But I'll make a side note, not here trying to sell, but I do give people advice, one-on-one advice. Some people come to me for an hour sessions. Some people come to me for 3 1-hour sessions, consulting sessions, but they're 1-hour sessions. Some people just focus on their website and how to structure the website better. And I can help you with that. So, I mean, you don't need to hire me to do that, but people do that out there. But I would say I put categories in there by, I have stories because I do have editors that want to come to me for stories. I like to put my stories out there. I want people to see those stories. They're important to me. So I have a section for all my stories, my best stories. I kind of put the best on the top, and then I, just descend by I don't want to say like the least best because I love all my stories, but what I think the stories I'm most proud of. And I have a diverse set of stories on there. And then underneath that, I do have traditional galleries because I still work in traditional media sometimes. So I have a portrait gallery, street photography gallery, travel gallery. And then I have other stuff like my basic stuff, like my bio and contact and news and things like that. So it's important to like structure it in a digestible way. Like I see people they'll just have like not even under stories. They'll just have like shots of Venice or some random title. You need to make people like understand what they're clicking on and what they're navigating on. You don't want people navigating to the wrong things, especially editors. Man, I didn't have a cough all of yesterday. Funny note, went to the dermatologist the other day. I had some things burned off, or what was that, like worried about skin cancer. So I go every 6 months. I have very fair skin. I had a lot of burns as a kid, sunburns, still do. And the dermatologist here is like an elderly French lady. She's pretty old, and she's got like her big, thick glasses, goggles, things that she puts on, and she's always burning things off of me. I haven't had any melanoma yet, so that's good. But while she was burning me, she was looking at all my tattoos and kind of critiquing me. I never had that before. I thought that was a funny little story. She's like, "Oh, that one's all right. That one looks unfinished. I don't like that one." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't really come here for that, but thanks for the service." It was kind of cute. Yeah, sorry. You're good. Are you okay? Yeah, I am okay. I just today have a little bit of cough in the morning. I think it's mixed with coffee grounds getting in my throat, but I do actually feel really good. Yesterday was a great day for me. Thank you for your concern, James. So back to that question: how to structure your website? Structure it in a way that's built on how you want. If you're just an amateur. If you're an amateur and you don't really care about like getting hired in a traditional sense, then just put your best work out there. But again, put it into stories so it makes sense. So just randomly put titles in there. Have a category, then subcategories underneath that make sense. And so that people can find the work they want to find. And yeah, like if you're trying to get hired to do work in the wedding world, don't bury your wedding stuff. If you're trying to get work in the commercial, don't bury that stuff because you're more proud of your street photography. Put the stuff out there that's going to pay the bills. All right, my cough is getting annoying for you guys. Sorry. Just going to dig up the last couple questions here, guys. Well, cough is getting bad. I was hoping to film a new episode today, too. All right, guys, hold on. Bear with me here. I'm going to have a couple more questions, or maybe one more. Okay, let's see if you guys have any questions. Again, you can ask me here. I think that was it for questions for the week. This might be a short one. My cough is getting slightly annoying. I apologize. I thought I was like fully recovered. Maybe I have to go take my cough medicine that I begrudgingly stopped taking because my wife said, "You still need it." And I said, "No, I don't." Might be one more question here, guys. Give me a sec. Just going to pull this up on Instagram. Man, I had a lot of technical difficulties today, like trying to find where stuff was. Like the questions for this, couldn't find them, couldn't get online. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Nope. All right. Well, if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I don't know why I'm struggling today. All right. Well, that's it for today, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me. Sorry about my lack of content the last month. For a while, we had a ton of jobs, 2 jobs. One was 3 jobs. I had a job for I signed an NDA. Can't talk about that job in Thailand. Then I had a 2-week hotel video and still shoot. That was about an hour outside of Hanoi. Then we had this big production we were doing for this development company, stills and video as well. I had to shoot my last day with COVID, which was real pain in the ass on a boat. It was so difficult to do that shoot. Anyway, it was not fun, but I was happy with the outcome in the end. Hopefully the client is. And then I got COVID and I've just been sick. So back to normal. Hopefully get my videos out there. Got a couple reviews of cool things coming up. Got Ulanzi tripod I want to show you guys. It's really, really nice, like really affordable carbon fiber tripod. A couple new bags from Wotencraft I want to share with you guys. I'm going to get all that out soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for the people part of the private membership out there where I do my exclusive content, that will be coming soon. I'm going to make up for it by giving you guys some bonus content and things like that. The monthly contest is a little bit on hold. I'm just not getting enough submissions to warrant the contest, but I will give a monthly assignment out to my membership program people just for fun, for kicks, and so you go out there and shoot a little honor system. Sorry for my annoying cough. I thought it would be all right, but I guess maybe I got another day here. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to have a wonderful day. Take it easy, guys. And if I missed anything or if you have any questions afterwards, ask me in the comment section. I'll revisit this video later on, and I'll check that out. I'll do my best to answer your questions either there or in the next episode next week. Thank you, guys.